Meet Adam Cheyer, the visionary behind Siri and Viv Labs, pioneering voice assistants on over 2 billion devices. Co-founder of Sentient, revolutionizing machine learning across 1 million CPUs, and a driving force at change.org. Innovator, author, and award-winning scholar, Adam transforms ideas into global movements.
Thanks for being here. Great backdrop to spend some time together. I got a chance to listen to you this morning, and there's a few things that really stood out to me. First of all, you've had this amazing career where you've brought technology out of the Stanford Research Institute and into our commercial lives, helping us for our first time talking to our phone, but not to somebody else, but to a machine with Siri, and so many others. So I want to start with, why do you keep coming back and creating new things? What's that thing inside you that you just can't help but continue to bring new ideas to life?
Yeah, so I enjoy the creativity process. I always have more ideas than I have time to work on. And I kind of plink away at home over time. And every once in a while, I'll see this moment when I know I can take that idea that I've just been curious about, and it's time to take it into the commercial world. And that happened to me with Siri, with change.org, with Sentient. These are all things that I was interested in and working on in various forms, but I found the right time that this is the moment to take it commercially, and startups were the way that I chose to do that.
So you talked this morning about timing as well, and you hinted at that you built a methodology or an approach that lets you bring timing to bear, which I think all entrepreneurs want to figure out that secret sauce. Can you share a little more about that?
Sure. So I have a process I call trends and triggers. And so the idea is you take some concept that's in the world but not mainstream yet. So today it might be like cryptocurrency. Is it going to replace all money? Or Apple Vision Pro just came out. Is the metaverse going to take off mainstream? And you do research and you form an opinion, and this becomes your trend line. So, and then once you have this trend, you say, how will I know that this vision, my prediction has come true? And that's a trigger moment. So I'll give you an example. In 2004, it was the 10th anniversary of the web. And I go, that's interesting. I wonder where the web's going. I made 10 predictions for the next 10 years. One of them was that social networking would take off, which in 2004, not obvious at the time. Friendster was 13 million users, kind of niche, and Orkut was big in Brazil, but not mainstream.
Right.
A year and a half later, MySpace became the #1 trafficked website in the US. It was a music playing site, and I go, okay, here it comes. So I started change.org, the first social network for social change. And today it's more than 500 million members, some 15, 16 years. With Siri, I had been working on Siri since 1993, before I saw a web browser. But I had made a prediction that there was going to be a revolution at the interface. All data was going to move to the cloud. We didn't call it that in 2004. It was going to digitize, but there would be a new experience. And when I saw the mobile phone with apps and pinch and zoom, I'm like, this is exactly what I predicted. That was the trigger moment. At the time, people said, the iPhone's not going to be successful. It's just going to be a fad. Apple, they make a little music player. Only a phone company can make something as complicated as a phone. But I go, I've been waiting for this. This is going to be huge. 2 years from now, every handset manufacturer, telco will be toast because Apple has just flipped the game. So what will they need? What will they be desperate for? I looked at the flaws of the iPhone. Well, it's a small screen, it's hard to type, and bandwidth, 3G, was so slow, it would take a minute to click on a link. And I go, if you're gonna buy something that's probably 10 clicks, 10 minutes, no one's going to do that. I go, what if I take this Siri idea, which I've been working on for 15, 17 years at that point, and you could just say, get me 2 tickets to the Warriors game tonight. And in one round trip with no typing, doesn't matter how small the screen is, it says, ready to get it done. And so I actually built Siri looking forward 2 years because I had this belief of what was going to happen, that iPhone was the trigger moment or MySpace was the trigger moment. I could then see with clarity 2 years ahead, and then I built for that time. And for me, it's like you can be a surfer. If you're too early, the wave goes by you and you don't go anywhere. If you're too late, it goes by and you don't. But if you catch it just right, off you go. And I say Siri was the first commercial voice assistant, none before, many after.
Many after.
Change.org, first social network for social change, many after. Sentient was the first large-scale machine learning company, many after. So if you can catch the wave, makes it all the more a better ride.
Well, and you've done it at scale. I mean, that's one of the other really interesting things is all of these concepts and ideas are scaled ideas. And so for most entrepreneurs, we don't get the chance to see our babies grow up and touch that many millions or billions of devices or humans. So I want to flip a little bit. We're here at the AI Festival, and AI has taken everything by storm. And you built a company to take advantage of AI. And you've been doing that consistently. AI is not a new thing for you. You've been messing around with AI for a really long time. What was the moment that you went, this is different?
Yeah, so I've been working in AI, I think 38 years professionally, something like that. You kind of have a picture of where the world is going in your field, up and to the right, but kind of slowly. But this new technology, large language models, have been beyond my conception. And the biggest flip moment for me, at first I came with a very human bias. What does a large language model do? It predicts the next word. And I'm like, okay, it's writing sentences, it's writing paragraphs, but it doesn't understand. But then I saw some code and I said, write me a program to do this. And it wrote a little subroutine. I go, oh, it's probably seen many copies of this. And I said, you idiot, you forgot this piece. And it says, I'm sorry, let me fix it. And it went and it updated the exact right line to add the right logic to do something which was novel. I know no one's ever asked it to do that before. And I'm like, in order to update code, it needs to understand the words. Meaning there's a model of what each does, and it can infer and it can deduce what to do next. And that was a flip moment. I came in thinking, oh, it's just superficial. It's just predicting words. It doesn't have a model and understanding what those words mean. And now I realize it can think and infer and reason and comprehend about everything in the world that's expressible by human language. Not like a human does it, and there are flaws, but at a level that we've never had a tool before. And I think this could be one of the biggest and most important tools humanity's ever created.
I completely agree, and we're seeing almost daily, just another thing and another thing come out that reminds us that this is going to transform everything. We spend a lot of time trying to help companies and individuals apply AI now, because there's a lot of fear, well, do I wait? At what point do I wait? How do you look at that? How do you look at because you talked about timing earlier, how do you maybe even recommend, and in your new role, how are you thinking about application of AI now versus sometime down the road?
Today's generation of large language models have strengths and weaknesses. And so what is it great at? It can generate text, beautiful text, and it's mostly correct. What is it not good at? Well, it can't really compute perfectly. Like if you were to ask it to do math, it might get it right, might not.
Like when I was in school.
Right, yeah, exactly, perfect. It's at that stage. But it's not, the best at that. and it can hallucinate. If it has to be right in terms of the facts or the data, it's not that great at it. So what I would say is understand the strengths and weaknesses and find applications. There are many applications today that fit the strengths and don't really care about the weaknesses. So I'll take an example. Education. Say I wanted to learn French. Here we are in Cannes. You can have a personalized conversation with ChatGPT or another large language model. You can say, I want to practice my French. Let's have a conversation about any topic that I want. Oh, and correct me when I make a mistake. And off you go. In an area that you're interested in, it's like talking with a human. It does that very well. Why? It generates text. I don't ask it to say, calculate this next, use a spreadsheet for that. Spreadsheet will be much better than a large language model for calculations and that type of inference. So I would say, if you're a company, you want to take the problems, see which ones fit well, don't have the risks of it making a mistake. And then soon, I think some of those weaknesses will be improved over time.
Well, I really appreciate the time. One last thing before you go. You mentioned earlier that you're an entrepreneur, but you also talked about being a magician. I have to believe that for someone that's a magician that sees the possible output that you want to create in that moment and works back to solve the how to get it there. AI could have probably felt like magic even for you, like with all this generative movement that's afoot. Give me that context switch between how you think about as a magician and as an entrepreneur, where those worlds collide.
Yeah, for me, they're the same. Much like you said, both an entrepreneur and a magician have to imagine an impossible future, and then they go after it. They figure out the math and science to make it come true. So there's that dreaming and imagining that's so important to both in innovating. The other thing is there are many lessons from magic that can be applied in business. So if you think of Steve Jobs, he literally used magician techniques in his presentations. When you went to a Steve Jobs product reveal, it wasn't about the amount of disk drive and memory. He would literally say, he goes, this is the iPod. It's always been about 1,000 songs in your pocket. Have you ever wondered what that little pocket is at the top of your pocket? And everyone's like, no way, right? That's a magician thing. Can you imagine, what if that card were, no way, right? And then he goes, now we know. And he pulls out the iPod Nano, the tiny little iPod Touch. So straight of a magician's presentation, what a great way to reveal a new product.
That's a great story. Thanks for finishing on that. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.